A federal judge blocks Joe Biden's attempt to make DACA permanent. AOC runs into hostile protesters in New York. And migrants in cages is still a thing. This is the Bicycle Podcast. So a federal judge just blocked Biden's actions on DACA after he was sued by 8 states for trying to make DACA permanent. DACA is a program from the Obama era that stands for Deferred Actions for Childhood Arrivals, more commonly known as the Dreamers policy. So basically, this policy says if you were an illegal immigrant for a certain period of time, if you were 31 years old or younger in 2012 and you came here as an illegal immigrant, then you qualify for immunity from deportation and for work permits. Because the argument is these people were brought here as children by their parents. So if you were 5 years old and you crossed the border with your auntie, your grandma, somebody, and now you're 30, they'll say, well, it's unfair for this person to be deported and to be treated like an illegal immigrant because they spent their entire life in the United States and they don't know. They were born in this foreign country, but they don't know the country. So you shouldn't deport them. That's the argument. Other people are saying, well, it's their parents' fault. They brought them here. So now, as an adult, they have to pay the price for what their parents chose to do long ago. And this basically covers people who were 16 years and younger during a specific period of time. As of 2021, it's been cut off. So all these migrants pouring in now, all these people trying to bring anchor babies into the country, they don't qualify for this. And Biden wanted to make this a permanent action. It was illegal in the beginning when Obama did it, because Obama did it during 2012, during his re-election campaign against Mitt Romney. He said, look, Romney is racist. I care about you. Watch this thing that I'm going to do. So he just signed an executive action saying, if you're one of these dreamers, you don't have to worry about ICE. You don't have to worry about not having a social security number, not being able to work. I'm going to take care of you without congressional action. The current number of these dreamers, as they're called, is about 580,000, close to 600,000. Trump tried to get rid of it a couple of times and he was blocked by federal court, and eventually he was even blocked by the Supreme Court, saying he didn't have enough legal justification for it and his arguments were very arbitrary. So they said, look, we're not going to extend it for more people, but we're not going to allow you to get rid of it. Biden wanted to make it a permanent policy, but a federal judge said, no, if you guys want DACA, these dreamers, to stay here protected forever, then you need to go through Congress for that. You don't have the executive authority to make an action like that. And the main reason why Biden wants to do this is because, like I said, Obama used this as a voting tool, a weapon against Romney back in 2012. The Democrats want to turn Latinos into a voting bloc, just like they have black people as a voting bloc, where they can bank on 90% of black people voting for them year after year, decade after decade. They want to have Latinos the same way. Right now, it's nowhere even closer there. They're not a monolith when it comes to voting like black people are. So the Latinos are by far the fastest growing population. They're growing exponentially. And the Democrats are thinking, okay, if we can lock these people up, if we can pander enough, if we can give them all types of freebies and tell them that Trump is racist, the Republicans are racist, then they're going to vote for us and continue to vote for us just like those black people did. We gave them welfare and we told them that the Republicans were racist. And it worked. So let them flow into the country, give them PlayStations, give them free hotel stays, all types of free crap. Then you look, say, hey, Ron DeSantis, he's racist. Trump, he's racist. And they're going to continue to vote. So the whole plan is to lock up the Latino vote. Lock it up to the point where it becomes a monolith. And going along with this, a lot of people on the left, they love the idea of the rapid Latino population growth. Brown people, as they like to say, because these people, these white liberals, walk around hating themselves. They have white guilt over things that happened 150, 200 years ago. They hate their own skin. So they say, man, there's too many white people in this country. Way too many people. When the Census Bureau came out and projected by 2045 that white people are going to be a minority, going to fall under 50% for the first time, these leftists on TV were celebrating it. They were happy about it. Oh my God, we can't wait until white people are a minority in the country. And a lot of these so-called people of color, these black people, these Latinos who are brainwashed and pandered to these leftists, a lot of these people actually hate white people. These people are racist, so they don't like the idea that white people have such a majority in the population to begin with. So they also want to bring in more people, bring in Africans, bring in Latinos, bring in Asians, Indians, just bring in everybody except for white people. They start bringing in those Ukrainian refugees. Hey, y'all bringing in too many of them. Let them stay in Europe. We don't want more white faces over here because we're tired of the white man having so much power and control over everything. And when opposition brings this up, they say, oh man, you're just pushing the great replacement theory. That's a conspiracy theory. But this entire DACA thing, it was illegal to begin with when Obama did it. And it's a hot topic. It's very controversial, both sides, because you have some people saying, well, just let them in. They're already here. This is the only country they know. Just give them citizenship. Let them stay. Leave them alone. Let them go about their lives. Let them live without having this legal thing hanging over their head. Let them live here without looking over their shoulder for ICE. If they get pulled over by the cops, they don't have to worry about being detained and waiting on ICE to pick them up. Stuff like that. So just let them live. And other people are saying, no, they broke the law. You have millions of people around the world who want to come into the country. And because their parents or whoever they came with decided to commit a crime, all of a sudden they get to skip the line. They don't have to pay. They don't have to go to the FBI to do fingerprints. They just get to stay here. You can look at both sides of it. And my thoughts on this whole thing is somewhere between that. So the first thing you have to do, keep it cut off. Cut off that bleeding. Don't add more. Not a single other person. Don't add them to this whole DACA list. So if they're at 580,000, keep it at that. Second thing they need to do, add some type of pathway to citizenship for these people. But not an easy pathway. If these people want to be U.S. citizens, they need to, first of all, pass the civics test, pass the citizenship test, show that they know something about the country, that they give a damn about the country in some type of resemblance. In addition to that, they need to serve at least 3 years active military, 6 years National Guard or Reserves, or 5 years as a teacher, firefighter, policeman. They have to do some type of public service. Commit to the country. Give back to the country. Like I said, show that you give a damn in some type of way about serving the community, being part of American society. In addition to that, no felonies. So if you a 35-year-old, 25, 30-year-old illegal immigrant who was brought here, you're one of these dreamers. If you committed some type of felony, too bad, so sad, you're not covered. And the final requirement for these dreamers to get American citizenship, and let's just end this thing, is you can't have been on welfare, receiving food stamps, Section 8, and all that crap for more than 2 years as an adult. Because let's say if you're a 30-year-old and you got 2 or 3 baby daddies and you just been on all these benefits for 10 years since you're 20 and all of that, at this point, you become a leech on the system. You're not contributing in any type of way. You come as an illegal immigrant and now you're just getting free taxpayer money. So if you can meet all of these requirements, then that can be some type of pathway for citizenship. But like I said, keep it cut off. Don't add any more people to it. And speaking of that, it's crazy that they said this is only for dreamers. This immunity from ICE, work permits and all of that. Because back in 2016, Obama and them, they tried to apply it to the dreamers' parents. So the dreamers become adult anchor babies. So you see how they do this? 2012 Obama comes out. No, it's just for these kids, these poor children. They didn't know what was going on. Their parents dragged them across the border. Now all of a sudden, the parents who dragged them across the border, they're saying, oh yeah, apply it to them too. Let them stay too. Give them immunity. You see that? But it didn't work. And now the Democrats are seeking the exact same things for these asylum seekers, quote unquote asylum seekers, who are just pouring across the border. Like the 100,000 illegal immigrants up there in New York City. And speaking of New York City, AOC just led a group of congressmen up there to New York City, her hometown, and things didn't go so well. We're about to get into that. But first, a word from my sponsor, me, the Vice Signal merch store. As we discuss today's topics, remember that your values and your ideas can be expressed by the things that you wear. Check out our thoughtfully curated merchandise, celebrating traditional values and government restraint. Explore our unique collection, starting with the Supreme Style tinfoil hat, a statement piece that embodies our commitment to critical thinking and pushing back against the norm. Make a statement with the Free Trump shirt, boldly displaying the captivating mugshot of the former president, which instantly became the most famous picture in the world. At the Vice Signal merch store, we're more than just products. We're a community dedicated to celebrating and defending traditional values. Sign up for promotions and receive 10% off your very first order. Don't miss out on these exceptional items. Embrace tradition, champion freedom, and shop now at tvsmerch.com. So, AOC, she's done absolutely nothing during her career in Congress except run her mouth. But the left loves her for some reason. So she just led a group of congressmen up there to the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City to see what's going on and what Eric Adams has been crying and bitching about. AOC, Joaquin Castro, and others went up there thinking that everything was going to go good, that they were going to receive adoring crowds and all of that. But they ran into a bunch of pissed off New Yorkers. Let's take a look.
That's why you just want people here to vote. You want people here to vote. What's wrong with this America? This is the United States of America. Yeah, that's what is this? What is this here then? Yeah, barriers for who? For who? For us? For the United States? No, you come down. You're complicit in destroying our city. You come down, you oath breaker. You gotta go to sleep at night. Hey, mother. Because I'm posing as division. Come here. It's all to you, mother. You think you're so special. How is that bringing unity to the nation?
Immigrants make America strong. Nowhere is that clear in the right hand anymore.
To prevent us from getting the work permits and the passage.
My dad fought for this country. World War II. You.
And not these people should remain in Mexico.
Ready to go back to their country.
Get out of here.
Get out! Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm here alongside Representative Adriano Escayar, and we're incredibly thrilled and excited to be here in order to make sure that we are joined by the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, as well as several other members from across the United States. We have geographic diversity here, including representatives from California, Texas, Illinois, as well as New Jersey. And what we seek to do is to make sure that all the resources are necessary and that we are joining with the city.
This happened outside of the Roosevelt Hotel. What used to be a luxury hotel, this hotel used to run $250, $300 a night. But now the city has rented out the entire hotel and converted it into a migrant intake center. So these migrants are bussed in from the South, from Texas. Then they stop directly at the Roosevelt Hotel. They go in for rest, for reprieve. They get food, they get phones, they get other electronics. And the city and its resources are being drained. Even though these leftists told us that if you say that illegal immigrants are a drain on resources, that we don't have the resources to take care of the entire planet. If you said that, they'll call you xenophobic. They say you just racist. Immigrants are a net good to society, they say. These illegal immigrants will add to society, but here they are now. Let's watch Eric Adams talking about how he can't handle it anymore. He's pretty much thrown in the towel. Let's take a look.
And then what happened? Started with a madman down in Texas decided he wanted to bus people up to New York City. 110,000 migrants. We have to feed, clothe, house, educate the children, wash their laundry sheets, give them everything they need, health care. And this team here, we stated, let's do everything possible before we have to push it out into neighborhoods and communities. Month after month, I stood up and I said, this is going to come to a neighborhood near you. Well, we're here. We're here. We're getting no support on this national crisis, and we're receiving no support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
There you have it. Looks like Eric Adams is at his wit's end. He can't handle it anymore. And on top of that, Eric Adams and the New York governor, Kathy Hochul, another hardcore leftist, are publicly arguing with each other. They've even taken legal action against each other over money, over space, land, property, resources, because Eric Adams is saying the state doesn't want to do enough. The state is trying to push his back on the city, and it's looking really bad for Democrats. This is all making Greg Abbott, the Texas governor, making him look like a genius. This should have been done a long time ago because these sanctuary city Democrats have been exposed because it was so easy to be a sanctuary city when the problem was far away from you. But now that the problem has come right to your front yard, now I'm at my wit's end. Oh, it's a problem I can't solve. Oh, please give me some money. You got the DNC looking at all of this because the Democrats are looking horrific. So the DNC has sent the feds in. They sent in their frontline Latino faces to offer lip service to these New Yorkers and to try to quiet things down. So if you listen closely, underneath all the booing and all the heckling and AOC being told off, you can hear what she's saying. She's saying, oh, we're here trying to make sure they got all the resources that they need and everything's going good. She's lying because Eric Adams already asked for $12 billion. He told the feds, look, this is a federal problem. I need $12 billion because it's going to cost New York that much over 3 years. And Joe Biden has sent him a fraction of that, nowhere even near what they requested. And it might be even more than 12 billion. But Eric Adams has already called for a budget cut, 15% budget cut across the board, all of the services in New York City. Because in reality, the feds don't want to touch this issue. They're just trying to save face right now. AOC is up there lying to people. And then you got Representative Espelate, whatever his name is. He's up there talking about, oh, these are good people. They're just fleeing violence. They're fleeing environmental issues. Their homelands are just so terrible, so violent that they need to get out of here. But the people who are out there protesting, the people across America, everybody knows that these are not real asylum seekers. They're economic migrants who just want to skip the line. And these representatives are out there trying to gaslight people. He even said, oh, this is a good thing because an old Democrat line is when there's chaos, that's an opportunity to seize more power to get things done. And he's saying all this chaos out here, this is the best opportunity. We can go ahead and get these people some work permits, let them stay, give them all types of free stuff because that's what they really want. Then you got AOC over here calling for work permits and to have ICE just stay away from them, let them be cool, just let them live there. I thought that was for all the DACA dreamers. So I guess all of these migrants, the millions pouring in, the 100,000 plus up there in New York City, they're dreamers too. You see how this expanded? First, oh, it was the people, the poor children dragged over there by their parents. Then you try to push it to their parents. And now everybody, the whole world, you have multiple ethnicities, people from Latin America, from Africa, from the Middle East, from Russia, from East Asia. All of these people just pouring across the border, and they're all dreamers. Give them free stuff, give them money, let them stay, give them work permits. And for me, it's hard for me to look at these New Yorkers out here and give a damn. It's hard for me to feel sorry for these people because New York constantly votes overwhelmingly for Democrats. They hated Trump. Trump was from New York, and the New Yorkers overall said, hey, F Trump. We're going to pick the decrepit old man. We're going to pick AOC for whatever reason. I still haven't figured out why the hell they picked this lady. She's been reelected, and she hasn't done a goddamn thing for New York. In fact, She famously nixed the deal with Amazon to come up there to New York. They had high paying jobs, but these people vote for this. They vote for these radical extremists, and then they come out here and bitch and cry. I'm your constituent. Yeah, you are. And guess what? In 2024, you're going to be her constituent again because you're going to vote for her again. It's not going to change these people's voting patterns. These people have all of these issues up there in New York. Vote for the same people. And one of the main reasons why is because they can't put two and two together. So they'll say, okay, I'm going to vote for this person, even though they are radical extremists who completely support illegal immigration. But when illegal immigration hits my city, I don't know what happened. What's going on here? I guess it's Greg Abbott's fault down there in Texas. AOC, Joe Biden, them, they have nothing at all to do with this. We're just dealing with a massive influx of migrants because Greg Abbott is a bad person. They can't put two and two together to realize that Joe Biden's open border policies, that the leftist Democrats in Congress who have sat on their ass and done nothing about the immigration issue, these people vote for them, but they don't realize that their voting patterns are contributing to their problem. They hated the idea of the wall. They let CNN, MSNBC gaslight them, let them tell them, oh, Trump is just racist. This is evil. Trump asked for $25 billion for a wall. How terrible. That's so much money, even though they sent over $100 billion and trying to send more to some foreigners in Eastern Europe. But you can't even spend a fraction of that to protect your own border. So these New Yorkers let the Democrats brainwash them, gaslight them, tell them Trump was bad, tell them that Trump's immigration policies were xenophobic and racist. Then they sit there and bitch and cry to AOC after they voted for her. And more than likely, they're going to vote for her again. But some of those protesters out there were actual Republicans, some were independent. And you can hear some of them talking about, man, I have family trying to get in. We paid all this money. We've done a fingerprint test. We're getting ready for a citizenship test. We doing all of this, waiting years and years. Yet these people just come in and do whatever they want and get what they want. It's a slap in the face to the people who follow the system to come in legally. But like I said, overall, New York votes for this stuff. And you get what you vote for. Imagine if there was a policy saying remain in Mexico. Before you enter the United States, you need to stay in Mexico and apply for asylum. Then once we go through all our paperwork, the process, whether it takes months or years, then maybe you can enter the country. Imagine if that was a policy. Imagine if there was a wall at the border. Imagine if Border Patrol had the adequate support they needed. If they had National Guard, military down there, maybe even active duty military down there at the border. Imagine if there was a president who had policies like that. Maybe the New Yorkers wouldn't be dealing with this problem. Maybe Texas wouldn't see a need to bust thousands of migrants up north every month. But these Democrats up here, they don't get it. So here's the bottom line. Awarding crime leads to more crime. And staying on the topic of AOC, y'all remember that time she went down there to South Texas to a Border Patrol facility to stage a photo op? She was crying in a parking lot down there. I think that was in McAllen, Texas, acting like she actually gave a damn about the illegal immigrants down there. She pretended to cry. Then she got on a private jet and flew back to her luxury apartment in D.C. And they tried to smear Trump as racist, talking about kids in cages. Look at this. He's ripping babies out of mama's arms. He's so inhumane. He doesn't give a damn. Did you know that it was still happening to this day as of September 2023? And this thing started during the Obama era. All the pictures that the leftist media show were taken in 2014 when Obama was the president. It continued to happen when Trump was elected. Then they made changes. Then Biden restarted putting kids in cages and adults in cages in 2021, and it's still going on. Down there in the blistering heat in Arizona, they have a border patrol station in, I think it's Ajo, Arizona, in the middle of nowhere, basically. Just the Sonora Desert, hot as the sun bitch in the middle of nowhere. So if you actually dig and look into this, migrants are still pouring in across the border over there, and a lot of them are just being put in these cages. And these cages are outdoor cages. Hot as hell in the summer, cold as hell in the winter. But most people don't know about it because the media has chosen to not talk about it. They can't use it as a cudgel to smear Trump, so they want to ignore the situation. And when you look at these images, it's a bunch of people crammed in there during the summer. It's up to 114 degrees out there. They didn't even have a mat on the ground. Like, you're outside. Imagine being outside in a desert, rocks, plantation, scorpions, all this crap. And then they just put a fence around you. They didn't put up a tarp. They didn't put down mats. They didn't put down wood. Nothing. Just locked them up in there. And they were out there. They had a bench. At least they had a bench. And they were kind of huddled up on a bench. They were trying to follow the little piece of shade. As the sun would move across the sky, there was a little piece of shade there. So they were all huddled up trying to get some type of relief from the scorching heat. Now, these immigrants have some blame in there because they are the one who chose to break into the country legally. But the response to this is horrific. So Border Patrol is fighting among themselves. These guys are arguing. They're blaming management. Some of the guys are throwing management under the bus. And it goes all the way to the top. It goes up to Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, that shitbag. It goes to the border czar, Kamala Harris, who does nothing. She doesn't even know, because this woman is a dumbass, doesn't even know anything about illegal immigration. She knows nothing about what's going on the border, and she doesn't give a damn. And of course, it goes all the way to the very top, to the decrepit old man and his handlers. And they don't give a damn. As long as the media, which is an arm of the DNC, as long as the media keeps it out of the spotlight, they can continue to not give a damn. They don't even have to pretend to give a damn. And allegedly, there's some law that came in 2020 where when these migrants come to the country, within 48 hours, you need to give them a cot, a bed or something, give them some food, some water, do a medical assessment, etc. But it's not happening down there. These guys are just shoved into the cage. They may be there for weeks at a time, and who knows? So what happens is this cage area is about 20 miles from the border. They come up, and most of them voluntarily go there because they're trying to seek asylum. They come up, or they get rounded up, and they're taken there for intaking. Then they're eventually taken to Yuma, Arizona, or Tucson, Arizona, to larger facilities for processing and given court dates. And these court dates are 9-10 years away. So they'll take them from the cage, then they'll take them to Tucson, and they'll say, okay, your court date is in 2035. Show up 10 years from now, 11 years from now, to your court date. Meanwhile, we're going to work on getting you a work permit, and you're free to go into the country. This is what's going on down there in Arizona. And Trump was building a wall down there on the Arizona-Mexico border, but it's incomplete. So the cartels, the smugglers, all these guys, they have exploited this region right here because there's a big gap. Because at first, the Tucson area, Yuma, and definitely South Texas were hit really hard, and Border Patrol can only be stretched so thin. So they had to push resources there, and they left a big gap in this Ajo area, Ajo, Arizona area. So the cartel said, look, we got a gap in the wall. We don't have a lot of BCP down there. So let's push our drugs through here. If these guys want to be smuggled into the country, they can pay us as coyotes, and we'll bring them into the country through here. So this place is being overrun, completely overwhelmed. And like I said, there's infighting. The local department, the medical examiner saying we're finding way too many bodies out there in the desert. This is horrific. This is inhumane. The sheriff of Tucson is throwing BCP under the bus. He's using all types of explicitives when he's describing BCP and their actions, what's going on with these guys in cages out here. And meanwhile, people like AOC, she's up there in New York gaslighting, but in actuality, she doesn't even give a damn. She doesn't care that bodies are being found out here in the desert, that these people are huddled up in a cage at a Border Patrol facility. These people only talk about this stuff when it benefits them politically. That's why the only reason why they even went to New York to the Roosevelt Hotel was because it was a political issue. They don't want to lose votes because New Yorkers are starting to get pissed off, and they're just trying to quiet things down. They said, look, just calm down, be quiet, let's forget it happened, shut up, and vote for me again. And these cages are getting pretty bad. So they have porta potties, these porta johns. They can't empty them out every day. So they get full, and they're talking about the smell. It's completely reeking from tens of feet away. You can just smell it. It's overfilling. It's absolutely disgusting. These people during the wintertime, they were complaining about the cold. They were coming in with jackets. Border Patrol said, look, you might shank me from the jacket. You might have a shank. So I'm taking the jacket, and they were giving them these, the aluminum things that they put on during the natural disaster. So it was cold as hell out there, and that's what they had to warm themselves up with. And the whole issue with them land on gravel, sand, and rocks, they were literally fighting the immigrants. The illegal immigrants were in a cage fighting over pieces of cardboard. Like when they would bring food out, like apples or something, they would have them in these cardboard boxes. And they would give them to the migrants, and the migrants would keep the cardboard so they can lay down on. And they were fighting over pieces of cardboard. And finally, after almost a year, BC put down a little tarp. But there's still no relief from the heat. And these people out here suffering, being caged like animals. Then you have that leftist Democrat Katie Hobbs, you know, the one who beat Carrie Lake. She won the Arizona governor's office without doing anything. She wouldn't even debate the Republican challenger. She literally just sat there and had D by her name. The people in Phoenix, all across Arizona, they didn't even know who the hell she was, what she looked like. But these sheep, they said vote blue no matter who. She said, I don't have to debate a Republican. These people are going to vote for whatever Democrat we put up there. And right now, this governor isn't doing anything. She's not trying to help at all. She hasn't even talked about it. And she can't take the Greg Abbott approach where Greg Abbott said, y'all want to overrun my state and my cities with illegal immigrants? How about I send them to you, to your sanctuary cities? But because she's on the left, she has to sit there and take it. The DNC, Biden with his open border policies, they push them through Arizona. She just has to turn the other way because she's not allowed to step out of line. Otherwise, she'd be gone. So her state is going to be completely overrun down there in southern Arizona. And that's one of the reasons why Arizona turned blue, even though there's a lot of fishing that's going on with the 2020 election. But they're flooding Arizona with illegal immigrants. And then they get illegal immigrants all types of free stuff. And they say, hey, the Republicans are racist. Then they go to Latino neighborhoods and hit them with all these mail-in ballots and say, vote blue, vote blue. And next thing you know, a person like Joe Biden, a decrepit old senile old pedophile old man, wins the election. And a terrified trash Democrat, Katie Hobbs, becomes the governor. And they want to continue the strategy. So all these people, white majority people who mostly vote Republican, these people who voted for John McCain for decades, you guys are being pushed out. Your vote is meaning less and less and less because they're flooding southern Arizona all the way up to the Phoenix area with illegal immigrants. And they're going to vote 2 out of 3 for the Democrat. So that's a election power strategy that the Democrats are pulling right there in Arizona. And when it comes down to these cages, we know AOC, she doesn't give a damn. She's just a flaming hypocrite. But what about the ACLU? They talk about racist this, racist that. And if you post something on Twitter that they think has any resemblance of any type of offense, they'll take offense to it. They're quick to call you a racist. They'll talk all this trash. You got the League of Latin Americans, the League of United Latin Americans or something like that. Where are they? You got all these Latin Americans down here in a cage. See, this is why these organizations like this have lost their credibility. Because they're quick to talk trash to Republicans and then call Republicans racist and xenophobic. But when a governor, Katie Hobbs, when Democrat leadership, Joe Biden, the czar, Kamala Harris, when Secretary Mayorkas, who is a piece of garbage, when they do absolutely nothing, when they have Latinos in a cage burning up in the heat, freezing in the wintertime, treating them like animals, these organizations have nothing to say. Because they are arms of the DNC, the Democrat Party. You got the media on one arm, and then you got these trash organizations, NAACP, ACLU, the United Latin League, whatever it's called. You got all these organizations working for the Democrats. And all of this stuff is just going to continue until you get the right leadership in there, until you get someone who's going to disincentivize this. The solution to stopping this, to stopping the overflow of migrants, because their excuse is we put them in a cage because we're overrun. Well, the excuse is to enforce the law, close the border, fight back against the cartels, deport this influx of migrants, and maybe you won't have to deal with the problem to this extent. Okay, so for our next story, we're going to jump across a pond over here in Ireland. So there was these guys who dug a hole in the beach, right? Just for no reason, shits and giggles. They dug this hole. then as astronomy enthusiasts later found it. He's well known over there, and he reported it to the news, and it became this whole thing, a whole big deal. So let's get into this.
Thanks, Bernard. Now, finally for now, a mysterious hole on a beach has caused a stir in North Dublin. A local astronomy enthusiast is hoping the crater in Portmarnock could be the aftermath of a cosmic event.
It's a huge, mysterious crater that looks out of this world. But is it? The unusual hole on Portmarnock Beach stopped local astrophysics enthusiast Dave Kennedy in his tracks yesterday, and he's certain the small but heavy rock inside it came from up above.
As you can tell by here, there's a scorch mark on this side here, so that would have been at the angle that it came down at. And it is weighty. I'm not sure if it's composition, but we're definitely going to have to find out.
The striking hole soon caught the attention of passers-by, many hoping that what they're witnessing is the aftermath of a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event.
Oh man, the way he hyped this up, talking about look at the angle, you can see the scorch mark right here. You talking about having your foot in your mouth, and he completely embarrassed the local news outlet over there, because all these people with all this talk about aliens, UFOs, all these hearings, Mexico, they just claimed they found some fossilized aliens. So it's very hot in pop culture. This news outlet, they were quick to jump down there. Other people saw it. They went down there, started taking pictures. And the guy, the astronomy enthusiast, see, this was the difference between an actual astrophysicist and an enthusiast. Once he found out that a couple of guys did it for shits and giggles, that he had his foot in his mouth, he tried to save face. He said, well, I'm going to keep the rock anyway. I'm going to have it analyzed to see if it's from space. Bro, we just saw what happened. Take the L. So, yeah, I just thought that was funny as hell, man. This guy completely killed his credibility, embarrassed himself. God damn. Social media age. Because 20, 30 years ago, you can get away with that, and you will have people actually believe in it. So let's get into this other story. Speaking of believing and disbelieving, China, in this Chinese zoo, there was this bear or man. Was it a bear or man? I don't know. I'm going to let the news outlet explain it to you.
China is denying that a bear at a zoo is actually a human in a costume. Questions arose after a video went viral showing a bear standing and seemingly begging for treats. And it's easy to see why people think this is not a bear. His backside looks to be an ill-fitting costume.
Look at that. All the wrinkles back. Yeah, look at this. This is a dude, right? They are right there just looking down. Standing straight up. This looks like a man in a costume. Maybe his head ends right here somewhere, and then bear head is like on top of his head. Probably a breathing hole in the front. Very wrinkled. But you got people in the comments saying they live in this region, and the bear is real, that they actually look like this. But Jesus, oh man, I don't know.
He appears to be wearing Birkenstocks, and he's standing on his hind legs like, what's the deal with captivity? Zoo officials would not answer questions when asked if their bears were real, but did invite reporters to the park to see for themselves. China has been accused of making large dogs look like wolves, or donkeys look like zebras, or surveillance look like social media. But in an insane twist,
Oh my goodness.
These might actually be real bears. They're called Malaysian sun bears, who apparently are known for looking...
I don't know. Look at this right here. Looks like a dude crawling on all fours. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this.
looking like dudes who used to be in emo bands.
Yeah, it was the Birkenstocks that gave it away, right?
Unreal, right? But yeah, that's apparently those are...
So some Oliver Anthony news. We all know Oliver Anthony. He blew up on iTunes, on YouTube, overnight sensation after he released his #1 hit Richmond, north of Richmond. Within a couple of weeks, he became an absolute superstar, was receiving multi-million-dollar deals for country music. And right now, he's selling tickets, putting on shows. But he recently had a dispute with one of the venues, Cotton Eye Joe, I think that's in Kentucky, Knoxville, Kentucky. And they got into a dispute over ticket prices because Oliver Anthony said he didn't want his tickets to be more than $40. This wasn't discussed, allegedly. This wasn't discussed beforehand. But he has this concept that a person shouldn't have to pay more than $40 for a ticket, because you go higher than that, then it just becomes absolutely ridiculous, too expensive for a normal person. And for some reason, I think Oliver missed the economics on how exactly this works. But let's take a look at a couple of video clips.
I had to pull off on the side of the road and make this video. My adrenaline's pumping, man. I'm pissed off right now. And don't buy Cotton Eye Joe tickets for $99 a piece, and sure as hell don't buy VIP passes for whatever bullshit price they're on. I have a buddy of mine who's not a booking agent. He's a friend of mine. He's a full-time plumber, and I'm trying to hire him full-time as my booking agent. And he agreed to this show, I guess, without asking for what the ticket prices are. Don't pay $100 for a ticket. That's horseshit. If we've got to cancel the venue and play somewhere else, we will. I didn't agree to it, and I don't want you to pay it. So please don't. I'm just trying to get the word out now. I don't know when the event got posted, but just hold off for a little bit.
We negotiated a price, and nothing was ever said about how much to set the tickets for. Nothing was ever said about charging for meet and greets. We talked about the price. I sent him a contract. Everything was cut in stone, black and white. And then when we put the tickets on sale, we were at 500 tickets that we had sold in about 4 hours.
Owner of the Joe, Chuck Ward, says...
Yeah, so this is a venue that has max seating 1,500. They agreed to pay Oliver Anthony $120,000. You can sell up to 1,500 tickets. And when you do the math on that, it breaks down to, if you have a full house, $80 a person. So just to pay Oliver's salary alone, 1,500 people will have to pay $80 each. Now, that's the baseline for the ticket. Now you got all the other people who work there. You got the janitors, all the sound guys. You know, you got everybody who's in there. You got all this overhead. You got to pay for the electricity, the water. You got to pay for all these services. And the venue actually said that they were going to try to break even on it because they're trying to keep the price as low as possible, just trying to do something fun, help push his name out there. But Oliver, who just said that his booking agent is his friend who's a plumber who has no experience. I don't know, man. Maybe you need a professional. Maybe your plumber friend can work under a professional who's working with both of y'all. And maybe before you went public with this, maybe you should have talked to the owner and whoever else behind the scenes. That's something I said about Anthony a couple of weeks ago after looking at a couple of his posts after he went viral. I said this guy needs a publicist or somebody in his life to kind of help guide him, because he'll get online, he'll get on Instagram and just start spouting at the mouth. And he just needs somebody to kind of clean up what he's trying to say, help him communicate better, because it can kind of put people off. And doing something like this is pushing off businesses. You have venues who are trying to work with you, and now you burning bridges. Someday in the future, couple of months from now, you might need to use this venue again, but you just burned a bridge. Other venues are looking at what you just did, and maybe they won't want to work with you because of that. So the first song went viral. It was a great song, but I just think this guy needs a little bit more guidance on how to handle things. And if he wants to take that $120,000 salary, even though he said the highest he ever made was $35,000, if he wants to take $120,000, the absolute minimum for his salary is $80. So it's going to cost definitely over $100 per person, unless he does this for free. Then maybe he can push it down to $40. But yeah, that's the story on him. We'll see what happens in the future. I wish all the best for him. Hope he becomes a superstar or whatever. But yep. So if you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like, share it. And I'll see you guys next time.